The benefits of wind power in Maine, they're fairly simple. You can break it down into three categories. First of all is environmental. If we can produce clean, renewable energy, we can reduce the carbon footprint that we produce. Second of all is the energy benefit. Energy independence is a goal that we have to achieve. And every time we send our checks overseas to buy fuel, to buy fossil fuels, we're not helping the Maine economy or the American economy. Third, and perhaps the one that's most important to our company, is the economic benefit.
We're becoming increasingly dependent, very critically dependent on fossil fuels. And it pollutes our environment, it reduces our economic domestic product, and more importantly, it puts people out of work. Investment in wind will go to Reed and Reed, will go to Chimbro, will go to our schools, it will go to our teachers, it will go to our engineers, it will go to our contractors, our laborers, it will go to our restaurants.
You've got tax revenues, incremental tax revenues at the wind projects, you've got royalty payments to landowners, you've got the impact of construction activities, and there's a multiplier effect that goes with that, effect that rolls down to every business in the area and to many businesses throughout the state. So there's a very broad and very strong economic impact felt throughout the state with wind projects.
Well, for Aroostook County, we live with a depressed economy most of the time, but we're used to that. The farming industry has been in decline for years now. The woods industry has had its challenges, and a lot of the mills have been shut down or temporarily shut down, at least, some permanently shut down. So we've seen quite an impact in job reduction in the county. Wind power, both in construction and the long-term jobs from maintaining the projects, is the only great chance I see for the county for a growth industry.
5 years ago, wind power was 0% of our work. Now it's over 60% of our work volume, and it's been the engine for growth in our company and in many companies in Maine.
Yesterday we were at 201 people on site. It's the first time we've been over 200. There have been about 350 people here so far, in and out, since we started on September 20th.
In terms of wages for Maine workers, so far wind projects in Maine have generated over $105 million worth of payroll, and that's an enormous economic impact in the state of Maine, especially when you think of it as being during a recession time.
With the economy the way it is right now, and the state of Maine, is not giving out as many bridge projects and stuff like that, it seems like we've kept a lot more people employed.
I had one particular employee that probably would have been laid off for the winter, because he normally would build roads, and so he got to work all winter this last year.
Any jobs are important, and we have seen a net increase in jobs as a result of wind energy, certainly pretty significant during the construction phase.
We employ approximately 350 people. Over half of them are employed on wind power projects. Our employees are basically from Maine. Out of the 350 people, we have about 300 from Maine, about 50 from New Hampshire. So they're all New England people. They end up staying on the projects during the week. So they stay at local motels, they eat at restaurants.
Hardware stores, to building supply companies, gas stations, fuel companies, truck repair companies, you name it, on and on and on. In fact, when we built the Stetson 2 wind project last year up in Danforth, we actually counted up, and we did business in the supply chain with over 90 Maine businesses were involved in that project, over 90.
Well, some of the stores, the local stores, Fodder's Market up here, the Pines Market, you see extra people coming in and working because there's a lot of people stopping for gas, for food, for beverages and stuff, and it's just a repeat business going on and on and on steady. But some of your small contractors, people who have excavators, backhoes, bulldozers and trucks have been hired up there that they wouldn't have had to work without it, and they would have been hurting, and they was able to keep their employees on through the last couple of years because of it.
When we look at the impact of wind energy in Maine, we can't help but notice the $750 million or so of investment that wind has brought to Maine and the 8,000 jobs. We also know during this time, and we're especially mindful in a time with a tight economy, that if it weren't for that investment in wind power, that there wouldn't be anything to replace it, and that business simply wouldn't have been there.
This is the biggest thing going on in Maine right now in terms of investment, by far. Just to put it in perspective, I was talking to a guy in construction who was working on a building in southern Maine. It was the largest building construction project in Maine at the time, $25 million. My little local company is talking about investing $350 million in these two small towns in western and north central Maine.
This is an issue that I think excites everyone, because I think when we look back over the recession, this state, like most states, have suffered. But because of the size of the state, the population, many of us have felt the depth of the pain a little more severe. The one thing that has maintained a consistent positive note has been energy in general, the excitement around it, alternative energy sources, but in particular, onshore wind opportunity, I think has brought both a positive ingredient in terms of measuring success in our economy, but also in the message itself. Sometimes equally important, because our economy is so built on consumer confidence that when hope springs eternal, and when you see hope and you see positive things happen, it gives people a sense of encouragement.
Albert Einstein once said, "Nothing rattles in the universe, everything is connected." So wind is an important factor in Maine because it connects very directly to our economic policy, as I mentioned. We export $5 billion out of the state of Maine because of our very heavy dependence on fossil fuels.
That's twice the state budget. That's twice the budget that we have to spend in Augusta on everything to run the state of Maine, leaves every year. So if we can keep only a small portion of that, even 20% of that here in the state of Maine, 20% of $5 billion is $1 billion that stays in our economy every year. And $1 billion that stays in Maine every year would create 15,000 jobs.